The Desert Eagle. There's a lot of interesting history with the Deagle, from its development, manufacturing, usage, company ownership, and the assassination of Shinzo Abe. There are many rabbit holes to go down on this one. Most are associated with the ownership, but some associated with my specific gun. Stick with me while I dive in and take a slight detour before getting to the gun. Initial patenting and development began in the 1980s. The .357 Magnum came first in '83 and the .44 Magnum in '86, and the .50 in the '90s. The short-lived .41 Magnum and .44 Corbon were in there, and both were plagued with issues from barrel and ammo availability to ammo quality. And then there is the .427 Desert Eagle. I haven't felt the need to chase this one. Manufacturing started in Israel under IMI, Israel Military Industries. Magnum Research brought manufacturing to Maine and then back to Israel. In 2005, IMI split off the Small Arms Division into IWI, Israel Weapon Industries. Magnum Research moved their manufacturing to Pillager, Minnesota in 2009. These Minnesotan guns are different, you bet. The slides now produce an audible oof-duh when cycling. Minnesotan guns are also shipped with a 5-in-1 tool and a hot dish, allegedly. In 2010, Carr purchased Magnum Research. Carr came on the scene in the 90s when double-action-only triggers were awful, capacity was limited, and guns were like U.S. autos from the 80s. They were miserable wretches. Carr produced a high-quality pistol with a nice trigger. I bought a couple of models. Carr was started by Justin Kukjin Moon. Mr. Moon graduated in 1992, magna cum laude, from Harvard in economics. He went into CNC machining and then started Carr. In 2005, he was appointed to the head of the Tonggil Group. Tonggil Group is a chaebol in South Korea. Chaebols are corporations that have their hands in many things. Samsung, Hyundai, LG, Daewoo are all chaebols. Tonggil is Korean for unification. The Tonggil Group was started in 1963 by Mr. Moon's father, the Unification Church founder, Sungmyun Moon. The Tonggil Group was founded as a non-profit organization to fund the Unification Church. Now, you might have heard of the Unification Church. They are often referred to as Moonies, a term once embraced but now rejected by members. They are known for mass weddings and blessing ceremonies. The church is often labeled a cult. There are many interesting facets of this religion and the family. The power struggle between the mother, her handlers, and the children after Sungmyun Moon's passing in 2012 is incredibly dramatic. The Unification Church has spread from South Korea into the U.S. and Japan. Justin's brother, Sean, leads the Pennsylvania-based World Peace and Unification Church, also known as the Rod of Iron. They wear bullet crowns and bring ARs into church ceremonies. The Unification Church has spent considerable money and effort trying to shed the cult label. Celebrities, sports stars, and politicians have aligned with the Unification Church to help dispel the cult shadow. In Japan, the Unification Church raised a lot of funds from members, some families giving all they had to fund the church. One such family had a son named Tetsuya Yamagami. One source said that Tetsuya's mother gave the church more than $700,000. The 42-year-old used a homemade gun to assassinate the former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, on July 8, 2022. Yamagami's family history is tragic. He has claimed the Unification Church preyed upon his mother, taking his family's wealth, and Abe was an enabler of the church. Japan has some political pressure to purge political offices of church members and those friendly to the church. This is not just a cult battle, but also a political battle where opponents are trying to seize on the assassination and the connection to the church to gain position. Truly interesting stuff. The church, the Korean business chaebol, the ownership of Carr. I'm not drawing any conclusions or making crazy statements. The study of the characters in and around these topics can absorb hours of your time. So back to the Desert Eagle, and more specifically, mine. A very long time ago, a tiny friend of mine had a .44 Mag Desert Eagle. He might have used it to shoot a turkey. It might have been overkill, and he might actually be a giant king of immaturity. That gun was bonkers, and I wanted one. My Desert Eagle was a set, sold by Magnum Research. The set included a case, Mark XIX platform, bolts for the 357 and 44/50, a 5-in-1 tool, 6 and 10-inch barrels for the 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, and 50 AE. My wife gave this to me as a gift, and she went through an FFL friend of ours in Oregon. His name was Michael Gardner, and he passed away in 2022. He was a pharmacist, FFL, machine gun side plate manufacturer, gun designer, dabbler, a student of his hobbies and collections, and husband to Karen. The case used to house the set is just as over the top as the Deagle itself. The case is huge. I can't believe I've lugged this thing around with me for so long. I never use it. It sits in a closet, pressed up against a wall and out of the way. The case has Magnum Research's name and logo on a plate. The case has 4 clamps and a locking bar. There is a cover. The cover doesn't have a handle, only a shoulder strap. The gun. The Mark XIX platform with IMI hand grips. It requires full power loads, no limp wrists. I'm not sure how those wispy Hollywood actresses can dual wield them. I don't take it out often, mostly only when others want to shoot it. Men that have procreated usually shoot it once, twice if their wife yelled at them earlier. Young bucks will shoot all of your ammo if you let them. I think the 10-inch barrels are more pleasurable to shoot. Here's a look at the recoil from the 6 and 10-inch barrels for each caliber. That 6-inch 50 feels quite snappy. Velocities have significant gains when going from 6 to 10 inch. The 357 Magnum gains 250 feet per second. That's a 20% increase. The 44 Mag gains 172 feet per second. That's a 13% increase. And the 50 AE gains 219 feet per second, a 16% increase. I've also included in here the chronograph measurements for a 6.5 Ruger Blackhawk and 357 and an 18-inch Marlin 1894C. How does that energy look? Here's an AR 500 plate at 25 yards, taking a 50 AE from a 10-inch barrel. And now I get to stretch out my 357 Mag 10-inch barrel a bit. We're going to start off at 100 yards. I recently picked up a Battle Gnome holster. It's a drop holster with a garter belt for LARPing. The inside is lined. and both barrel lengths fit. I ran this gun completely void of lubricant, dry, loud, and punishing, like a bad relationship. Toward the end, I was having failure to load from the magazine. This was with the puny .357 Magnum, the cheap and pain-free cartridge. I was able to get hits on steel at 100, 200, and 250 yards. I'm not going to lie, it was a lot of fun. The iron sights are fat and black, void of any special coloring to help old eyes. From one barrel/caliber to the next, your point of impact can shift. It leaves a lot to figure out. Post-shooting, I cleaned up the gun. Here you can see the wear on the .357 bolt, and a side-by-side with rotation of the bolts. The top is the .357. Over the years, the 44/50 bolt has been used more, today being the exception. And the extractors? Throwing a wrench at you, this time I have the .357 on the bottom. I used a heated ultrasonic cleaner. Here's the solution afterward. Before closing, one more tidbit for collectors. The spacing between the registered mark and the Desert changes over time. This one being an IMI, the gap is narrower than what I have seen on some others. I wiped everything down with Rem oil and reassembled. Thanks for sticking with me. The next video is already cooking in my head. Take care.